Yo, welcome back everyone, Toyshiz here, and I am back yet again for yet another McFarlane Toys DC Multiverse video, and today we have a couple new installments to their McFarlane Collectors Edition line. Definitely characters hailing from recent DC Comics, and definitely characters I had to do some research on. Now, first and foremost, we have the Walmart exclusive Lightning Lad. This is more of the recent comics edition of Lightning Lad. I like, though, that they're kicking off the Legion of Superheroes, and you can see the updated look, the updated costume right here on the back for Lightning Lad. Here's the barcode, and like I said, these are starting to hit Walmart store shelves now. Also, we have an updated new addition to the Green Lantern Corps, of which I'm totally stoked on. This is Green Lantern Simon Baz. It's not your Hal Jordans, it's not your John Stewarts. It's his own new thing, and I totally dig the costume. I dig the look, the attitude of Simon Baz, and here is the barcode for him. He is not a Walmart exclusive. He will go everywhere. And then we have this guy, and this was one that I definitely had to do my research on. This is the sentient computer virus known as Grid. More on him in just a few, but this one kind of hailing from the storyline Forever Evil. Kind of metallo-ish. A lot of people kind of thought that right off the bat. And here's the barcode for old Grid. Now, of course, all three characters, like I said, starting to hit Walmart store shelves now, even though Lightning Lad is the only exclusive. But wouldn't you know it, yes, there are platinums for each of these figures. But we're going to take a look at all 6 figures today. Now, the Platinum Edition for Grid, for lack of a better term, we'll just say it's kind of his X-Men astral projection form, where he's fighting Cyborg in the computer realm. We'll just go with that. Lightning Lad, wouldn't you know it, the one that everyone's going to kind of want, is the Platinum Edition. It's the more classic-looking Lightning Lad, just FYI. And then this is a separate character all his own. This is Power Ring, aka Solomon Baz. So he is a separate character to Simon Baz. But more on that in just a few, because we have, well, a couple figures to look at. So sit back, relax, grab yourself a nice hot cup of coffee. This is a look at several new McFarlane Toys DC Multiverse Collectors Editions, plus their Platinum Editions. Here we go. Now we'll go ahead and kick things off with the Walmart exclusive Lightning Lad. And truth be told, if the standard edition is a Walmart exclusive, then the Platinum Edition should be Walmart exclusive as well, right? Well, it's kind of the Geoforce conundrum we're having with Target. The main question you got to ask yourself, though, is do you like the modern take or do you like the classic take? Now, the Platinum Edition will have the standard Lightning Lad classic yellow lightning. So you get multiple effects for that. You will see the modern head portraits and the classic head portraits, regardless of which one you pick up. The more modern head has the swappable faceplates. I like this tech, and I don't like this tech. And don't get me wrong, the faces are great. It's just all kind of how it's utilized. With the classic look for Lightning Lad, he will not have swappable faceplates. It's just one singular head portrait. And for the most part, it's okay. Now, we're reusing a body again. It's got those dumb boot things at the bottom, which they reuse over and over. It doesn't make sense with the costumes, the bodies that they choose to utilize these characters. The paint is nice, but I will say this. I saw it once, and I can't let it go now. The head portrait kind of looks like Sigourney Weaver in some sense. The hands, you're not going to get multiple hands, unfortunately, so you're stuck with one fisted and one lightning throwing hand, which, sure, that works. And if you want to see the bodies with the swapped head portraits, whether you want to go, again, classic or modern with the classic body type, it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense, but you can totally do that if you pick up the Platinum Edition version. Now, on the other side of the equation, we have the Standard Edition having blue lightning. So that's the more modernish take for Lightning Lad. The swappable faceplates are really done well. It's just a matter of popping them on and off. And yes, you do get the classic head portrait with the modern version. And like I said, it really depends on if you want to go the more classic for the Platinum, which you know is going to be a pain to find, or you want to do the modern. For me, I know that they have to do a reuse. It's just not fantastic reuse. The faceplates, they still need a little work here and there, of which They did a great job with Simon Baz, as you'll soon see. The paint is crisp. Everything looks nice. Some of the colors on the gloves doesn't match with the pins, just FYI. But at this point, that's kind of what we expect from quality control from McFarlane Toys. Again, no extra hands, you got the lightning throwing hand, you got the punching hand, and if you wanted to see the head swap, yes, you can put the classic head on the more modern body, although that really doesn't work either. So, to be honest with you, whether or not you get the Platinum, or if you get the Standard Edition, it's a cool looking lightning lad from afar. When you start kind of delving into it, you go, okay, well, this is off and this is wrong. I see what they're going for. It's just kind of a 50-50. It's okay, but it's not great overall. When you want to attach all the lightning effect pieces, that does bring a little bit more to the table. Although I really wish that they would go back and rethink how they're doing these effect pieces. We see these a lot with characters like the Flash and whatnot. Lightning effect pieces would work a whole heck of a lot better if you were able to actually clip them on. It's kind of a mishigosh. You kind of just have to handle it and hope for the best. The articulation is what it is from McFarlane Toys. Nothing new, nothing updated. Again, they're just okay. But that being said, on a more positive note, we have the two Green Lantern characters, one of which being on the evil side, and then we have the good side. But I like what they're doing here with the Green Lantern Corps. The last Collector's Edition, even though you kind of have to get a bunch of them to really complete the set, you're building out your Green Lantern army, and I like that. With either or character, whichever one you get these really cool effects. And this one being like a power drill. I like all the details. It's clear green plastic, but it works, and you can use it with your other Green Lantern members. You also get this big mallet hammer, of which that is totally rad. Some kind of melee weapons to pummel your enemies in space. Yeah, why not? And then my personal favorite, you have the Nintendo Power Glove, all done up in Green Lantern form. Now, it's like a big Thanos Infinity Gauntlet, but it's for Green Lanterns. But it totally works, and you can just see Simon Baz punching Atrocitus, Darkseid, anybody with this and causing some damage. And then, of course, you get the Green Lantern lantern. So all of these accessories are all done in that clear green plastic, which really works if you have a Green Lantern character. So across the board, the accessories are a total knockout. Simon Baz, or in this case, Solomon Baz, who is a crime syndicate member from an alternate Earth, gets several different faceplates, all of which go on really nicely because there's only one peg, and you can pull up from the chin and it slides right off. The actual character himself, I think a lot of people are thinking, well, wait a minute, is this a different character? Is it just kind of like an evil version of Simon Baz? No, this is an alternate Earth version of him, Solomon Baz, and like I said, face plates slip off gloriously. You cannot do that with the Lightning Lad figure. My God, it's a pain in the butt. This is seamless, and it really works. Again, all of the paint, very crisp, very clean. I totally dig that. Now, of course, there has to be 5 steps forward and then about 10 steps back on the paint. And I say that going, well, now hold on a second. Is it something to do with the character? Maybe I missed. Because you can see that he clearly has the tattoos from the comics on his right arm. But then he has all this other grimy, dark paint, which I thought was some shading. But then looking at the other arms and the rest of the costume, it's only on that arm. So was it when they printed the tattoo on his arm? Is it supposed to be battle damage for this version of the character that I'm really not familiar with? I don't really think so. I just think that it's a bit of a goof. So let me know down in the comments if you get this character, if you get this figure, does yours have a mess of paints on the ring finger side? But the ring is painted, it's sculpted in, and he does have a trigger finger, of which, for those of you who know Simon Baz, he carried a gun at one point, but has given up on that. But it's going to be the same figure throughout. But overall, I'm actually very happy with this power ring. And then to look at Simon Baz, who I was really looking forward to. Across the board, it's all the same accessories, which is really nice. But of course, the faceplates are going to be painted differently. And for the most part, everything is painted beautifully, from the low greens to the dark greens, the actual figure itself, from the skin tone to the blacks of the costume. Again, the light greens, the dark greens, all the different line work. It's a lot of fun, and I actually really do like all his facial expressions across the board. I think that they did a great job with that. The body type, how they do the diaper, that we all know. We don't need to talk about it. If you're a fan of DC Multiverse, you get it. The tattoo on his right arm looks great, well applied. There's none of that extra shading, quote unquote, on that arm. So again, methinks that's a goof. But again, the greens, the blacks, everything looks really nice on this figure. But it really is the way that they've achieved the smirks, the faceplates, all his different expressions really brings this character to life. That coupled with all the accessories, heck yeah, this is a solid home run figure for McFarlane Toys. Again, like I said, having the giant power glove, holding the Green Lantern. He looks like Simon Baz right out of the comics. And for that alone, I very much appreciate it. On a very lesser known, obscure character like Solomon Baz from the Crime Syndicate, he works with his whited out eyes, his sneers, his jeers, all of the deadly Green Lantern weaponry. Heck yeah, like I said, this I highly recommend. Both figures, got to pick them up, which leaves us with Grid, good old Grid. And I made a joke when I did the news video when they first announced these figures. I said, oh, everyone's favorite character. Well, in doing some research on Grid, he's actually kind of an interesting character. And at first I thought, okay, is this supposed to be like a Green Lantern kind of motif, something like that? No, this is a final battle sort of situation with Cyborg in the computer realm. So just keep that in mind. History of the character aside, it's a pretty menacing looking figure, and I think one that McFarlane really gravitates towards, especially with Spawn and the monsters and all the demons and everything over the years. They have reused the Build-A-Figure of Cyborg from the whole Flashpoint universe wave. The gun arm is interesting. They've essentially redone the upper body, the legs, the feet. Everything is going to be strictly just a reuse with a bunch of new parts and pieces up top, of which I honestly think that they've done enough to then create and craft a new character like Grid instead of just being like, oh, that's just mostly Cyborg. I like what they've done here. I like the face. He's got that really cool Terminator look. He's got the skull. One eye is flashing green. He's got some shading to him. They really did do a good job. However, I will say on the gun arm, as much as I've looked at the comics and everything involving Grid, I really can't find a reference for that arm. It's like something they came up with on their own. Standard DC Multiverse articulation, nothing crazy, but it is a oversized figure, which is nice. I'm glad they tossed that in the box. I would have liked to have seen an extra arm, just a non-gun arm for Grid. I think that would have been a nice pack-in because this is all you get. But it is a cool looking figure, but really just if you want to complete the DC Multiverse, because in all honesty, this would be the Grid that you want to get. And thankfully, this is the standard edition version, not the platinum edition. Yay! We got one. I like that they put some red amongst the teeth. This one looks deadly. He looks menacing. The other one you could kind of substitute for Green Lantern, maybe Metallo if you really wanted to go that route. This one just looks like Grid. Yes, he also does look like Metallo, but it's a completely separate character. It's evil Cyborg. Just think of it in that sense. The wash that they put on him, the arms, the details, everything really comes out more as opposed to the green one. And like I said again, while he does have that cool red cannon and it looks deadly, it looks menacing, it's a little sharp too, an extra arm or just the lower arm attachment would have been great just to kind of have it as an alternate swap out piece because, yeah, you're just kind of stuck with that weapon, and I do like my options from time to time. The big old clawed hand, the upper body, the legs, you can get him into some great positions. He does have peg holes on the bottom. I like the accents of green. Again, this is a character I wasn't asking for. This was so far at the bottom of my list, I didn't even know he really existed. But it turns out it's actually a cool looking character to be made into a figure. So I will say this, regardless of the one that you get, the platinum will be like, yeah, maybe hold off on that one. Not my favorite. It's a cool motif. He's got some cool paint, but the actual standard look for Grid will be the one you want to go with. Because later on, if you want to pair him up with a certain crime syndicate, that would just be the better look overall. And like I said, just to kind of show you what's been reused, what's been updated. You have the Cyborg Build-A-Figure that was part of the Flashpoint wave, which, as that particular character that is Cyborg of that universe, the figure totally works. So in that sense, he's supposed to be oversized. Fine, that's totally cool, but it's not what I think about with Cyborg. But again, I'm liking that they packed in a larger figure to the Collector's Edition line. And if I understood my comic storyline right, after Cyborg was ripped apart by Grid, he kind of became normal-ish Cyborg again, which I totally like, and I like the scaling between these two characters. Now, again, the green one may not be for everyone, but if you're really big into recreating comic book panels, again, final battle of Cyborg and Grid, yeah, you can totally have that going on your shelf. But really, it's when you have the Crime Syndicate, and this is where collecting really plays a hand over the last couple years, building out your Crime Syndicate team. Now you get to add Grid. Heck yeah, that looks really cool. Now, we still need an updated Johnny Quick, let's be honest, but for the most part, this is fantastic. And if that particular version of Owlman and, well, let's say Power Ring isn't suiting you, well, you can add in the Solomon Baz and the blue Owlman, which I do think fits better for the Forever Evil storyline anyways, but I like the gray costume for Owlman, but you can see how that looks. Or you can have the green version of Grid with your team. So you choose your own adventure, you decide which looks best on your shelf, but regardless of which one you go for, you'll have a very cool Crime Syndicate lineup. Now, in terms of Lightning Lad, not a whole heck of a lot to talk about just yet, as he is the first of the McFarlane era of the Legion of Superheroes, but you can put Supergirl, which needs to be redone, and Superman next to him just to kind of see how it goes, along with a more modernish take for Lightning Lad. So again, fingers crossed, we get to see a lot more Legion of Superheroes in 2025 and beyond, and then just to kind of see how Simon Baz scales next to, say, the likes of Batman. The green of Simon, just how he looks, goes really good. Like, I'm really stoked on this figure, but it's like the Crime Syndicate. When you've been collecting and building out your DC Multiverse collection to build up a massive Green Lantern Corps army, as I've done here, is awesome. But that being said, McFarlane Toys, I know you guys did that New York Comic Con panel, but we need some female Green Lantern Corps members across the board. This is a sausage fest of the Green Lantern Corps. We need to do something about that. So that's going to wrap it up for my look at several new McFarlane Toys DC Multiverse Collectors Edition figures. Keep in mind, these are starting to hit Walmart store shelves now, but only Lightning Lad is the Walmart exclusive. Everyone else will eventually go everywhere else, even come in from online. Hopefully your Walmart orders for Lightning Lad come in soon as well. Hopefully Mr. Terrific, we'll probably see him by the end of the year. Fingers crossed. He's another one that has a platinum edition where it's going to be the classic version, the one that everybody wants, much like Geoforce, which the platinum is. McFarlane, it's getting to be tedious. It's a very tedious thing collecting your guys' figures. Give us collectors a break. I think everyone would greatly appreciate it. But you've heard my thoughts. Now I'm curious to know yours. So comment below, let me know. Let's talk everything DC Multiverse. So I'm going to leave you guys with that. As always, drink some great coffee, eat some great food, but most importantly, remember, we're going to wrap up DC Multiverse here because we got a lot more new toys, new brands, new companies to talk about, and I would love to have you all here chatting about it. And when we do, let me know what you found. I'll talk to you guys soon. Adios.